Okay, everything's on now.
All right. And we're talking stuff.
Yeah, the microphones are on and you can talk into them and they hit the internet.
That's how that works.
And we're playing on the internet, I can tell. Good tech check. Solid.
We got we got, how many remotes do you have?
I mean, 6?
Easily, right?
6 easy. And that's just downstairs. I probably have like another 4 upstairs.
What happened to the episode of Sopranos put the universal remote back on docking station?
The universal remote was huge. You remember how huge it was? It was a ridiculous idea.
Yeah.
I'd rather have 4 small remotes.
And you had the book with all the codes in the back.
Yeah.
And you're like, come on, Samsung, 1, 2, 2, 3.
So
what's up, BD? What's up, Mike? Yes, they can hear us, so that's good.
What's up, Mike?
Yes, we are on.
Okay, everything works. See, I think this is a better system. We do the tech check before we actually.
Yeah, I like that better.
Do anything.
Because then we don't use all our oxygen, and then try to say, "Wait, what were we talking about?"
Right. And you have to,
I have the
hand gesture everybody what's going on.
I have to always do that. I verbally do what some people do when they walk into a room and they forgot what they went into that room for. I'll start talking about something and I'm like, why am I talking about this right now?
Yeah, sometimes I'll talk about something that I was talking about like 10 minutes ago or something like that. Like it'll just be a huge gap in between thoughts.
Yeah. All right. We had a busy, even though we took a break, our socials were still flowing.
Yeah.
We kept the socials flowing. But that was the first vacation post Pandy.
You're still you're still remote now. It's a house show on the road.
A house show on the road.
Is it a road show? What is this? Are you working a loop?
Yeah, working the loop. Yeah, it's the undisclosed location in my office. From parts unknown, weights. I used to say weights unknown, but I did put on like 6 pounds on vacation, so I ate right.
Did you really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Nice.
You know, that's Pacific Northwest food.
What were you eating in the Pacific Northwest? I remember me and Lucciolati went, and we found like the shittiest Mexican restaurant and just ate there like 5 times.
Well, it's funny enough, you probably noticed, and it was probably more so in Portland more than in Oregon, more than Washington even, that there is a ton of Mexican restaurants there. And you're like, how is this even possible? Because, you know, being in Texas, we automatically just assume if you don't live near Mexico that you don't have the good Mexican food.
Right.
But apparently there's a huge population up there.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, I had a burrito that I'm not putting it up against Cabo Bob's, but you can tell it was like a legit burrito. I was like, whoa, this is not like a burrito that you would get like in Missouri.
Yeah. Like
this was a real burrito out of a truck that had a tarp over it. And I was like, I got to try this.
Yeah. What was in it?
So it had, once they present cilantro and onions, that's like code to like, yeah, they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just throw like a little bit of tomato and a little bit of cheese and a little bit of sour cream. It's the cilantro. Oh, Mike says, yeah, Washington Mexican food is not great. Some tons of great teriyaki, though. I did see some teriyaki joints there, too.
Yeah, teriyaki's a big thing.
I had some Hawaiian food there, which was good. Because I like to eat what the local fare is, and I'm like, why are we eating everything that's not local? But apparently in Oregon, you know what they're known for?
What?
Huckleberries.
What is like a fruit?
It's huckleberries. Yeah, I mean they're known for
like an
berries.
Actual huckleberry fruit?
An actual huckleberry. And I had a Vincent Vega Pulp Fiction moment where there was a stand on the side of the road that said huckleberry milkshakes, and I'm like, okay, I tried huckleberries off the bush and they were good. Salmon berries off the bush were delicious, but I was like, let me pull over and see what this huckleberry milkshake is, because being from, CI, Long Island, the only thing we know about huckleberry is Huckleberry Hound. We know nothing about huckleberries beyond that. Go into there, they were making the shakes in a completely different area. So I was like, not even near the ice cream. And then they came out, and the shake was only about like that big, and they said that'll be $9. I'm like, $9 for a
Yeah.
milkshake? I had the Vincent Vega moment, and I was like, well, I got to do it. I can't say sorry, I don't want that now. And it was probably the best milkshake I ever had in my entire life.
I mean, it'd have to be. They have a whole ice cream department. They've got a berry department, and they work separately, independently of each other. The two
And they're
flavors
growing
coalesce.
Yeah, they're growing the berries in the back. So Mike can probably speak better on this, but Washington, they're obviously known for their apples. So you had the apples, and then we had some seafood. They're right there on the coast, so okay.
What was
I
your
can buy seafood.
What was your favorite part of the MoMA? MOA? Mopop? Mopap. Oh, we lost you. Lost you. You gone silent. Your thing died out.
Sorry, that was me.
What was your favorite part of the Mopop?
Horror, hands down. I'm gonna pull it up right now from our socials. It was the scared to death, the thrill of horror display. Do you remember that display?
I don't know, but I think the displays rotate. I don't think they stay the same.
Okay,
I think they changed stuff. But you sent me that photo from the stairs. I remember the stairs. Oh, yeah.
the stairs were incredible.
Yeah.
But I mean, they had that life-size bust of Jason Voorhees. This was the one that really got me. Oh, that's not it. That's Love Film or Die. What's up, Love Film or Die? Here we go. Let's try this again. So they had all the floating heads, and they were the actual props from Walking Dead from the governor.
I remember those.
Yeah. So those were. Did you know that those were the actual heads?
Yeah, I remember those from when I was there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was sweet. Let's see if I can do this. That was good.
Did you
I don't
see
know
like the
what that-
Planet of the Apes script and all that?
Yes, I saw the Planet of the Apes scripts. Did have Trick or Treat unmasked. That was good. They had the bust there. Puppet Masters.
Puppet Master.
Yeah, Puppet
Full
Masters.
Moon Pictures is in the freaking Museum of Pop Culture.
Isn't it unreal?
Yeah.
And look,
Critters.
They had one of the actual critters in there. And yeah, then we had to go with the Chainsaw Massacre. This was cool. Did you see this? Now, this was not part of the horror, but growing up,
I don't remember.
this was always pretty terrifying. But they had a lot of the original wardrobe from The Wizard of Oz.
Everything from Wizard of Oz is kind of terrifying ever since that one documentary where the dwarf hung himself during the filming.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's on, and they cover that on the Shudder Curse films too. Wizard of Oz made that. So yeah, I really enjoyed the horror, but they also had a good fantasy section, and then their Hall of Fame section was cool, and that's where they had like the George Lucas stuff, the Steven Spielberg stuff, the Planet of the Apes stuff. I thought it was interesting that for the Rod Sterling, sorry.
Rod Serling?
Yeah, they had him there, but they displayed his Planet of the Apes. Would you say he's more known for Planet of the Apes, which we know he made, or is he more known for the Twilight Zone?
He's definitely more known for the Twilight Zone, but that's an interesting piece of trivia.
Yeah. Did you ever see the pitch video
I think you sent it to me,
that? Yeah. When they just pitched that in the tent, it was great. And it was just like, wow, this is like old school Hollywood that are like, we're just going to shoot this in a tent and have these two guys in monkey suits talk, and like, boom. The first great sci-fi franchise, is that safe to say? Because that was the late 60s.
I think so. I think a lot of people don't. I feel like the fact that it's a franchise kind of slips through the cracks, because it's kind of spread out. And plus, it's tied to like a very, I feel like the new Planet of the Apes is very separated from the old Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, which is also very separated from the Mark Wahlberg, Tim Burton Planet of the Apes.
And there's a cartoon. There's a cartoon in there somewhere and a series.
Yeah, they were merchandising too. I remember my older brother having some Planet of the Ape toys.
Yeah, to me, I kind of like equate Planet of the Apes. I feel like the successor to Planet of the Apes is Walking Dead.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like it's got the same kind of a. It's different, obviously. It's like zombies, but it feels like it's the same thing. Like the world is just flipped, and you're trying to survive in this crazy flipped out world.
Oh, speaking of that too, that I had no idea that would tie together to the show that you suggested you should be watching. Why aren't you watching The Offer? And didn't Al Ruddy get like fired up standing up and watching the end of Planet of the Apes when he's explaining to his girlfriend why movie magic and a shared theater experience is so important? Didn't they just come off showing the Planet of the Apes?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
that's a big one. So, that's one of the first early big twist endings.
Oh man, yeah, and it's the way the camera dolly pulls back, and it's just that was cinema magic. So this inadvertently turned into a movie tour. I had no intentions of it turning into a movie tour. I was going to hit up the Mopop for sure, but then we were only there for one day. So like, well, let's go the long way so we can kind of see the coast. And then I had that Clark Griswold moment, and I was just like, wait a minute, Haystack Rock? Is that where they filmed Goonies, and it's just a mere 2 hours away? Right
2
next
hours.
To the giant
just the length of Goonies and the trailers.
So of course we did that. So that rock, to see that, the picture really doesn't do it justice.
So pull it away a little further.
Yeah.
Back. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this one's a little brighter, so it's a little harder. Yeah, you're not going to even see that one. But I think that really drove it home, because sitting there and looking at, Sean Austin holding up this stone and then seeing it in person, that like, wow, if you really like, if I was trying to sell a gimmick, roadside gimmick, I would get that rock and say, hold this up and take a picture like that, because you literally could line it up and see what he was seeing in the film. So that was really, really cool, because I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Because I knew I was going to be heading towards Overlook, right? Because our last stop was going to be in Mount Hood, and that was about 20 minutes from where they shot all the exteriors for The Shining. None of the interiors were shot in there, so the whole gimmick of holding the axe is just something that they do for their guests of people. Let me pull this up here.
Oh yeah, remember they had those gimmick axes at the convention?
They did, yeah. So it was very similar. This one just said, "Here's Johnny." They hid it behind the desk, and you had to ask for it, and then they tell you don't go far with it. But they still gave it to me.
But it was an actual axe. It wasn't a gimmick axe?
No, it was an actual axe, and it was it looked exactly like his axe, like Jack Torrance's axe. It had the same butt end, so that was pretty incredible. Not as incredible as the scenes, because just the paneling, since they didn't update, because I was confused. I don't know, you probably know this, that the hotel in Colorado where Stephen King stayed was the inspiration, but this hotel in Oregon is where they actually shot the exteriors.
Yes,
the interiors
that's right.
were all, the interiors were all shot in a studio. The hotel said would not let them shoot in there because they didn't want to. At the time, they said, you'll scare away our patrons and no one will want to stay here because they'll think it's real, because they won't know it's a work. So, but just that paneling and those trees like really drive home. I was trying to get the pull away shot, but this thing is like, look, that's Mount Hood, like right behind it. It's unreal on how high up it really truly was.
If we had pre-produced this segment a little better, you'd have that one photo queued up of The Shining that you're in.
Oh,
you should have like framed that and just stuck it in the wall in there while you were walking through.
Dude, that would have been a good idea. Just see if anybody notices. Like, hey, where'd this picture come from? Yeah, it is almost the season. It's coming up. It's almost rebooting season. That we'll definitely reshare that. That was one of the, we did a lot of fun videos, but that rebooting of there we go. I did pull it up here. That would have been awesome if I just took a shot, put it on a frame, and then just gingerly like nailed it into the wall with some other pictures. Oh, that would have been good. So yeah, it was a fun movie tour. Oh, wait, we got to give one more shout out here. So we did, when we finally made it to Oregon after watching Joe Bob, he was doing his road, he was doing his How Redneck Same Hollywood on the road. He was doing his double feature. So I had to stop in the Hollywood Theater, and here's the bad news. You can see that in the picture. It's a magnificent theater, the Hollywood Theater there. But you can see when you ask me, did you get to go? It says it right there in the bottom. It was
Sold out.
2001, sold out.
And you said they were playing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 when you were going?
Part 2, yeah, and they had Leatherface's brother who was there for a Q&A afterwards, which also I didn't make it there in time. Like I got there and they were already an hour in, but I'm assuming that that would have been sold out as well. So I went the next morning just to go, and of course I jiggled the handles and nobody was there. But great studio. That's a studio that's almost worth, especially for you. I think we should just do Dos Incredibles on the road. Go see this movie, and then go to the other stop that's right up the street, Movie Madness. This video store, dude, will knock your socks off. This was unreal. Because all the video stores here, right, they closed.
Yeah,
is there any left?
Rest in peace. No, there's nothing left.
I mean, look at that magic. And it was like over 80,000 titles. But not only did they have the videos, they had all these, like, it was a museum, too. So they had a lot of these actual movie props. Here's another one that you can actually see a little bit of movement there.
Nice dolly shot across.
Yeah, tried.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, surely they do not just get by renting videos. That's got to be like some kind of landmark.
No, here's the story. So yeah, again, here they have more of the Hollywood stuff on display. By the way, Elizabeth Taylor is tiny. That dress right there that we passed right next to that Jennifer Aniston dress was hers, and she was super tiny. I didn't take a picture of the frame of what this, but can you guess where this baby carriage is from? If anybody
is that
can
the
guess.
Untouchables?
Yes, right. You got it. That's the actual baby carriage from the Untouchables. They had that, and then
there's not many movies that feature baby carriages. On
carriages on there.
Specific scene.
They had a Mars Attacks alien, but this is the one I wanted to show you. So they had this screening room in the back of the video store. That's going to be like what we're talking about doing in the future of having our Dos Incredibles lounge. But it's funny you say this. There's no way that they're getting by on renting videos, and you're correct. So the Hollywood Theater, after the owner, the Naked Gun did have a baby carriage. Good call.
Yeah, but they were spoofing the Untouchables.
That's right. But they raised, how much did they raise? It said it on the door. They raised a crazy amount of money to save it and turn it into a historical landmark. Movie Madness Movie Theater is now owned and cared for by the Hollywood Theater. So it's a joint effort.
I feel like that's reason enough to go to Portland. I think I'll go.
I think just for the weekend, like you'll spend all day in Movie Madness. Like I couldn't even begin to tell you how many movies. Like I feel like when you used to go in video stores before, you kind of knew where everything was, and they had like a lot of times they had the same movie like 50 times. This one was just everything just got one. And you just couldn't, like you could have, it was like going into an old Egyptian library of movies. But it was unreal. It was very cool. Portland's it was a fun city. Like I said, I didn't get to spend, I was only in Seattle for a cup of coffee, but we spent a little bit more time in Portland because from Mount Hood to Portland, it was kind of like 50 minutes. So I was going back and forth there. So well worth the trip. So I was trying to share that on locations while I was there on getting all the unplanned movie tour.
Good stuff. But a lot of great. Yeah. Movie tour is great.
A lot of other stuff happened while I was there. I mean, we'll wait for the one thing that we're gonna talk about that broke while we were there. We'll wait till Mike jumps on in about 30 minutes. But the San Diego Comic-Con, man, there was tons of stuff breaking, and when you're on vacation, you're not getting a good Wi-Fi signal, and everything was dropping left and right. The repaired She-Hulk trailer, Wakanda Forever, the trailer that if you don't cry, you got to check your pulse. So let's talk about that one, because that one, I was trying desperately to get a signal, and I was just struggling, and it was just like getting so choppy, and I wasn't getting the full experience. And I knew once I put my headphones on and I watched it, I knew it was going to get me. And the music choice was inspired. What do you think of the trailer?
I like it, when I first saw it, I had no idea what to think because I had no idea what I was expecting, everybody knows the bad history, everything tied to this movie, what's built up ahead of it. So I was like, I really had no idea. How are you going to deal with this? This is like, remember when Paul Walker died during Fast and the Furious and stuff?
Yeah.
That was a whole different scenario because they were in the movie, but this is like, this kicked off right before. So they had to shift the movie immediately before they started shooting. And they went ahead with it and they didn't recast, which I thought was a strange choice. I honestly thought that was a weird choice. But now I don't think it's such a weird choice. I get it.
It's the biggest mystery of that film, and I think that's why that film is going to do bonkers box office. I think it would have, it's already in the number 4 of all time domestically. I believe it's number 4. There's no way that movie's not going to do bonkers business.
You're gone. We lost you. We lost you again. God damn it. I'm coming to that studio. I'm going to fix it all. You're gone. You're in silence. I know.
That was me again.
Is there a timer we can set so when that happens?
4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. We're in the lost hatch, and we got a time every time the mic is going to go. Usually it gives me the warning that it's going to go. But I don't know where you lost me at.
Black Panther trailer.
The biggest mystery of just showing who the claws are, and you don't know who it's going to be.
Who are the top suspects? It's only like one of 3 people.
Yeah, well, his sister's going to at least have a swing at it. But in that trailer, that was not her. She's going to get a shot at it. But let's see. Let me pull up some suspects here. So we know it's not going to be... I'm going to pull it up. I feel like I'm doing the... It's Always Sunny. I'm going to pull everybody up and put it on the wall with some yarn and see, okay, who is it going to be?
Are you share your screen?
I don't, maybe. Let's see. If I move all this other stuff out of the way, probably. Let's see what that looks like. So while I'm pulling up the screen, I think Shuri is going to at least have a shot at it because she does have a shot at it in the comics. So there is precedent for sure. All right, let's pull this one up. I think this will work.
I feel like did I ever tell you I met Ryan Coogler?
No, did you tell? Maybe you did.
That's a shoot. I met Ryan Coogler back in the days, and then when you say you meet someone, you just meet them as, hey, hi, hello, nothing. You know what I mean? Right. It wasn't like we hung out and fucking, went to the coast or something. Like, I was at, this was back when I used to go to Sundance, and I just was at a party. I was like a USC party, and he was there with Fruitvale Station, and I'm at the USC party, and a buddy of mine just introduced me to him, and it's like, and it was just kind of like, it was whatever. It was just kind of like a meeting. It's like, oh, okay, he had a movie at Sundance, But it was one of the instances. But I do remember it was a USC party sponsored by Avid. Oh, there you go.
Oh, right.
Sponsored by Avid. And Avid had a really cool display set up. And they were giving away, beanies and cool shit. And I just remember, like, when I met Ryan Coogler, I was the guy who took 2 of the Avid beanies off the desk. Off the display, and I was stuffing it in the pocket, and I just met him, and he just kind of throw away, just hi, hello, and that's it, and just kept going.
Just like, can I have 2?
No, kind of have it. I just like, they're there for the taking, so I took 2, one for me and one for my friends.
Awesome, smart. You always got to pick up on. All right, can you see my screen? Can you see my IMDb?
Screen's up.
All right, so we said Shuri, she's gonna get a swing, but I just don't think she's gonna permanently be Black Panther, and not because of the character. I think because I don't know. I feel like the actress had some controversies, and Marvel tends to steer away from those.
She got some heat,
I love her performances. Like, she was great in Black Mirror, and then seeing her in this, and I was like, I hate that it's coming to this. So, but I would like her to do it. She was super popular. The front runner right now from everybody else is Winston Duke as M'Baku.
Yeah.
I think he is, for some reason, he is the front runner. Daniel, that was in Nope. He's not in this one, so he would have been. He's the second one that people were thinking, and then obviously we had what's his name that died in the first one that they thought maybe he can come back from a variant if they were going to go the route of the variant and bring them in here.
Who?
But what? Uh, sorry, I'm blanking. I want to say Apollo Apollo Creed's son.
You're talking about Michael B. Jordan?
Yes, completely. But I was blanking on his.
I think Michael B. Jordan is the obvious candidate to be the next Black Panther. He was the
Killmonger.
most. He was Killmonger. He was the most over in the last movie. He was the most over. He was more over than Black Panther. So you just do some kind of Marvel twist, whatever. Just make it up. Whatever. Space crossed over somewhere to time, and like now he's Black Panther. It's easy.
Yeah, and he has, the whole first film was about having rightful heir to that throne.
Exactly.
And he did sit on the throne, and he had a version of the mask. He had a version of the suit anyway. So I think you're right that we've already crossed multiverses. You can just bring him in from another multiverse, and I think just be done with it. And I don't want to say he's a variant of T'Challa. I want this Killmonger is, at the end when T'Challa gave him the chance for redemption, and then he's like, "No, bury me in the water with my ancestors."
Yeah. Hey, lose the screen if you're done with the screen.
What's that?
Lose the screen.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Here we go. So I think that would be cool. To just maybe this variant did take T'Challa's offer, and then he became the rightful heir to the throne. What got me the most in the trailer, besides the music choice, the way that they moved from Bob Marley into "It's Gonna Be All Right," that was incredible.
With the Kendrick Lamar kind of a blend.
Well, that was a beautiful blend. Was the mural of Chadwick Boseman, because it had the same feel as Spider-Man looking up at the Iron Man mural, except this one hits a little bit different because IRL, he did pass. Yeah. So this one hit a lot different, and it definitely seemed like they had like a funeral scene. So I think they are going to address that, which I think is going to be a really difficult, because you can't show anything on screen. And I wish there was a way that can just have him go like off into the sunset, or just leave it more of a mystery. But I know they did that, like you said, with Paul Walker. But man, I don't know, man. I think this one's gonna do bonkers business just to see how they handle this.
I was pretty unsure at the beginning whether or not this sounded like a good idea. Now that I've seen the trailer, I think it's a fantastic idea. I think if I'm booking it, and I'm not even trying to book it because I can't book Black Panther. I can't make that movie. Ryan Coogler can make that movie. He's a genius, whatever. And I think he's going to do it perfectly, because what I see are I see threads in there that are set up. And if he's going to pull on the threads that I see, this is going to be bigger than Black Panther 1. It's going to be huge. It'll be the biggest. I think this could be the biggest Marvel movie ever.
Yeah. I wouldn't. It would not surprise me. And Angela Bassett's performance has to be bonkers too, because when they showed her, and I forgot who, she was presenting to some kind of council, and then the way she's like, all my family is gone, and she was so powerful, and she was hitting her chest like, haven't I given enough? Again, all this stuff is going to hit different because we know in reality this is something that we're all really dealing with.
And this was being made. Just if you consider this, like, think of the last couple of years. I mean, the last couple of years, we can't even talk about it on YouTube because the algorithm will ban us. But like, there was so much stuff going on, and a lot of it involving, BLM and the police and all that stuff. So much was going on, and they were filming during that. I feel like that's all going to connect and come across in the movie. Like, it was they were shooting it in the absolute perfect time to make this movie.
Oh, that's right. That was all shooting during when all that was happening.
That was literally, while that was going on.
And that's when the performances are best, when you're actually just leaning on those real emotions. So that was just a teaser. And the rumor was that they were just going to not even show a teaser. They were just going to show a poster at San Diego Comic-Con and then save the teaser for the D23, that Disney Plus day, basically.
They needed to show that. They hadn't released anything about it. And now all that trailer alone is ensure that movie is going to make $1 billion.
Yeah, I agree. There was an article that had just dropped right around the same time. And I don't know, maybe they read that and it's just like, have we finally starting to see cracks in the Marvel armor? Because Phase 4 has been pretty divisive. Like, and I would have, if you would have told me, you know, around Endgame that Thor 4 by Taika Waititi and Doctor Strange by Sam Raimi were both gonna be divisive movie, I would have been like, no way.
Well, here's the thing, dude. I realized this after seeing the Black Panther trailer because the Black Panther trailer is the end of Phase 4. The Black Panther movie is the end of Phase 4.
Yeah. Yep.
And the beginning of Phase 4 was WandaVision. Phase 4 was pandemic phase.
Yeah.
Everything made during the Phase 4, everything in Phase 4 was in some way obstructed or hindered by the pandemic.
Oh, that's accurate. 100% accurate.
And if you think about it, now you realize the way Kevin Feige has been booking. He's been on some sort of a delay. He's been delaying his plans because nobody knew what was going to happen. So you've got these kind of like soft shows like WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier that we've already said they didn't get finished, right?
Yeah.
They probably didn't even get finished, and they just released them in what they just released what they had. And then you've got like Thor. People are like posting about how Thor, the most expensive movie ever. Why is it so expensive? You know why? Because it was COVID, and you had to do all the precautions. So anyway, so it's just like
you're right.
And so like everyone's getting all like up, but this entire phase was like asterisk phase for Marvel. I think that's
the pandemic saga.
Exactly.
The pandemic saga of Phase 4. Yeah, so this will be the first one, even though they're ending Phase 4, but this will be the first one that was 100% not hindered.
It was very hindered. It was very hindered, but this will be the closer.
This will be the closer of that. So I was going to see what you thought. Is Kevin Feige like the Steve Jobs of presenting Marvel? Like when he masters that stage. Like he masters that stage when he goes up there.
You mean like going on the Comic-Con stage?
Yeah. He's like, there was like, people were, Comic-Con's been struggling too, right? And then they're like, they went through, obviously they had to do Comic-Con at home, which was not a great experience. And they feel like they didn't get a lot because now all these other streamers and studios were saving all the good stuff for their own, you know, DC Day, you know, and then Disney Day. So they were holding back. So I was like, man, I don't know about how this is going to work back in person. And they needed what Marvel did there because the whole thing was it was going to be DC versus Marvel. Everyone's like, DC's going to kick Marvel's ass because Marvel's going to save all their stuff for Disney Day and DC's going to bring out Henry Cavill. And the opposite happened. You know, Feige mounted them, dominated them, and DC, Rock was kind of getting some boos. Did you notice that?
I mean, yeah. I'm not going to lie. Here's I got a shoot on Black Adam, dude. It looks stupid. Who's going to see that? It does not work. Rock as a superhero does not work. It's just he's already a superhero. Then you take somebody who's a superhero, cast him as another superhero. Doesn't make sense. It's a weird booking.
Well, the weird booking part of it for me, and I do agree with you that I don't know, I'm not sure how it's going to go, but he is like interconnected with Shazam. And they dropped a Shazam trailer that people didn't even know it dropped. And I was like, there was a Shazam trailer? But these two were interlinked and there was no crossover. So you have all these Marvel, you know, all these Marvel fans that are used to crossover and bleed, and like not everything has to be a huge team up, but acknowledging the other one. And they got his rival, and neither one of them were in either one of them's trailer. But what the promise was, the power dynamic in DC is going to change. Basically Black Adam calling out Superman, so everyone was expecting Henry Cavill, and they're still expecting he might still be in the film, but he didn't show up to Comic-Con, and I think that upset people.
I think the longer we don't get a Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder, that just his stock just drops. That has to be the movie. Anything like if Henry Cavill comes out in Black Adam, people will laugh. People will totally laugh.
You think if he comes out, they're not going to be he's not going to get a pop?
It won't work. It won't work because he needs another movie to be reintroduced. I thought Man of Steel was solid. I had no heat with Man of Steel. It was a different take, but I thought it worked. And now we've had these other movies where we've had the Justice League. He's died. He's come and gone. Whatever. He needs another solid movie with nobody else, no Batman hanging out. Just a Superman movie, and then you can do something with him.
Yeah, that's possible, right? They ended up recasting Batman with our bats, and it made enough box office that it felt like it kept that afloat. But with Superman, you have your number one guy, your crown jewel, right? You have the holy trinity of DC is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and you have the crown jewel one kind of floundering. And the Wonder Woman 84 was with such a great premise. That was another one, I guess, that was pandy affected, but it wasn't well received. So the only thing that they had for momentum pre-Batman was Zack Snyder's Justice League. And the Warner Brothers still came out and they're like, stop asking for this. We're not doing it. To the point where there's a lot of rumors now that was a hit piece. Did you read that? I think was it in Rolling Stone?
I saw blurbs about it, about the hit piece on Zack Snyder, but I wasn't.
Yeah, those were all bots. The release, the Snyder Cut, was a bot farm.
Guess what? It's all a bot farm. All social media is a bot farm. They're because they were arguing it's like 13% were bots, and it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, that's just the ratio now. You're going to get 13% bots.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I was actually surprised at that. I was like, it's that low? But again, and we talked to Mike about this, it's crazy that they have the number of clicks. They know, Warner Brothers knows how many people watched Zack Snyder's Justice League versus any other DC property they have on HBO Max. And do you think that they don't want him so bad that they're going to lie about the numbers? Like, I thought they wanted to make money.
No, I think they have major heat. Like, they have a lot of heat. Like, I think they've been posting blurbs about how Zack Snyder went totally, like, he spent like a lot more money on doing Snyder Cut than he was supposed to, and he just kept going and going because I guess he just kind of knew he couldn't get fired at that point. And he just went with it, whatever, blah, 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 did whatever he wanted, turned in a movie, and they were like, what the hell? And it's like, no, that's Snyder Cut, bro.
Dude, and I'm glad he did it. It was great.
I love Snyder Cut. I understand like why people have heat with it, and I can understand why you wouldn't like that movie. But again, I just think it's such a pleasant thing to just see a director's completely unaltered vision. It's like, this is it. You always hear of movies, it's like, oh, there's a 4.5 cut of whatever movie, right? The director's cut. And it's like to actually see what that would look like. And it's like a $500 million director's cut. I love it. I think it's great. I'm glad it exists.
Bob Evans would be rolling over his grave. He'd be like, ready,
Bubby.
We're going to do the 4-hour cut. And we're going to release it right to their houses, Bubby. I had no idea when I watched The Offer that I was going to walk around and be like, ready. And they're like, who's ready? Like,
isn't it a blast? That show is a blast. Like, it's just, if you're like a movie fan, it's so much fun.
Just watching the whole movie process happen. Yeah, that was great. But yeah, R.I.P. Bob Evans. He would have loved the Snyder Cut. He would have been all about the Snyder Cut. But Mike brought up a good point. So first, San Diego Comic-Con, since the WB Discovery merger, just completed recently. Not enough time to get anything major and new in place. And the rumor was that Henry Cavill was going to be there, but he got hit with speaking of superheroes, he got attacked by another variant. And so Witcher's shut down right now. And that rumor is that's why he did not go to Comic-Con. Because if you did a nose-to-nose with Henry Cavill and The Rock on stage like it was a UFC fight, would that have gotten you pumped up a little bit more?
I mean, yeah, that'd be a great visual. I'm just not into the Black Adam movie. I just don't feel like that's going to work as a movie.
I think it needs something like this. It does need a hook. I don't think just saying that Black Adam, because it's been hanging out for a long time. And the biggest news stories coming out is not The Rock and Black Adam. The biggest news story is Ezra Miller beating people up, Amber Heard stepping on bees, and Zack Snyder, playing with bots. Those are their biggest news stories. Like, how do you monetize that?
Yeah, it's true.
And then you got Kevin Feige doing the Steve Jobs, and he's like, Fantastic Four. And then he drops the bomb that is just like, we're going to give you 2 Avengers in the same year. A May-November romance.
That's bold booking, I got to tell you. It didn't work for The Matrix, remember?
Yeah, I do remember that. Well, originally that's what they were going to do with Infinity War and Endgame, right?
If the first one doesn't get over, they got no time to reshoot. So,
well, I think what's going to happen is that nobody's going to, depending on the cliffhanger, which clearly it has to be a cliffhanger. Depending on the cliffhanger, I don't think people are going to be completely devastated if, like, you know what, as time starts getting closer, they're like, we're going to push this out, and it's going to be May, just like we did with Infinity War and Endgame. And it'll just add to the tension. Some people will be upset in the beginning, but I think they'll get past that. But yeah, I was just so happy. This man, we need this. Marvel needs this right now because they are on shaky ground right now.
I don't think they are, dude. I don't think they are, because now that I've realized that it was just the pandemic phase and they're coming out strong. Every time I say pandemic, YouTube like kicks us down the search. But like, I think I think that they just were navigating the issues. Movies are on a delay. It takes 2 years to make a movie, big movie. So they've been on a delay, and I think Phase 4 ended up being completely affected. But now they're coming back completely, in full force with all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So,
they were dropping bombs. They're gonna have MODOK also in there with Quantumania. The big one for me, and I guess I'm a mark for the big being, I'm a mark for the big green guy. I'm a mark for the Hulk. I love Mark Ruffalo. When they showed the She-Hulk trailer, dude, I got so excited, and I felt like this trailer was even better than the last. And I wasn't bothered like a lot of people are bothered with the CGI effects. I wasn't bothered by it, but I can tell that they repaired this. And then what'd you think about that surprise at the end of that trailer?
Daredevil.
Man,
Daredevil's about to be the biggest Disney star,
Daredevil's been in every project as soon as they got the rights back.
Yeah. They're going to do a lot with Daredevil. What's the guy that plays Daredevil? He just like...
Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox. Yeah, he just hit the lottery.
He got a monster pop when he showed up in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You see memes of just like, I'm a really good lawyer. I mean, he got a great pop. To see him in one of the OG comic suits with the red and yellow, but it's enough that it's going to be different, but the same. And then they announced there's like, we're also going to do Daredevil Born Again. 18 episodes.
And you know what? The Daredevil show, they did like no CGI. It was all kind of like practical fighting. Can you imagine? So he's going to get a major upgrade in what he can. Just in what they showed of him in that part, in the trailer, was a major upgrade.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, because when he came flying in like that,
he's never.
You're right, because he couldn't. He couldn't. Yeah, he didn't do anything like that in the show, and the show was great.
Yeah, but it was a more realistic, grounded Daredevil. Just a blind karate master.
I think this is ripe for cameos. She-Hulk, other than Daredevil, right? It's going to be a law firm that defends other metahumans, super people, superheroes, whatever you want to call them. It's ripe for it. And I'm ready for some Jessica Jones in there too. I want to see her hire Jessica Jones to do some private eye work. Because I had no heat with any, well, Iron Fist. I didn't even watch the second season. It's on Disney Plus now. But the first
Iron
one
Fist
just,
won't be back.
no, you don't think they'll go with
He'll
Finn
maybe be in Shang-Chi too. They'll reboot him.
as somebody else.
Get somebody good that knows karate. Get Donnie Yen to be Iron Fist or something like that. Why would you just cast like some, white stoner dude?
But are you psyched? You know, this is only a couple of weeks away. Are you psyched for? Are you a She-Hulk fan? Or are you just gonna watch? Possibly, or
I mean, I'll watch it. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from it exactly. The trailers are, it could go either way. I feel like I'm 50-50.
Okay. What about
50-50 booking?
I was the same way with Miss Marvel, and then on vacation, I was like, you know what? I'll kind of watch it passively just so I can. I'm a completist, so I got to check the box. And the first couple episodes, I'm like, yeah, this isn't made for me. They're trying to win over, the younger audience, which I get. I'm not gonna say you ruined my childhood for Miss Marvel, but then at the end, you want a spoiler? Should we drop a spoiler?
I'm sure I've seen the spoilers by now.
Yeah, but we got the spoiler gimmick that you can throw up there. Spoiler sting.
Oh, the spoiler gimmick.
All right.
Go ahead.
I love it. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. No, I was delayed. Sorry. So at the end of Miss Marvel, when they were going over her powers and talking about the bangle, they had obviously Captain Marvel showed up in there, and something happened that they did a switcheroo. But before that, I think was a bigger drop that got me excited, and I'm like, it automatically made the show a little bit better to me. They're like, well, Kamala, we got to talk to you a little bit. There's something different about you, why this powers were released. There was something in your blood, a mutation. And then you heard the dun 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 dun, and you heard the mutant. It was like they said they finally got to say mutant,
right?
And now they're retconning a little bit now, because I think she was an Inhuman in the comics. She's going to be a mutant. So we have the first official confirmation of a mutant in the MCU. So, but other than that, the show was like towards the end, it was fine at the end. Again, I wouldn't say go rush out to watch this, but I also wouldn't say that for Moon Knight either. It's just like talking to my son. He's like, which one to go back? And I'm like, oh, you can skip that. Fast forward to this. He's not a completist. He just wants the good stuff.
Well, they're branching out to the point where they can just do other series that don't really factor in their main timeline. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be interesting too, because I think that's what happened with the Infinity Saga, where everything did tie to the one thing that everyone's going to go against Thanos. But you're going to basically have multiple versions of Kang, right? So like, how's that exactly going to pan out? Like, what are they going to do in Secret Wars that's going to be able to top the Avengers Assemble scene?
I don't know. That was wouldn't Hugh Jackman Wolverine popping in top that?
I think having them in there, yeah, I think they need to. I think they need to do a bunch of those.
I think they're going to do them all. I think. Have you heard this new thing about Feige can't use X-Men until after 2025?
No, I didn't. I heard that they weren't going to do anything until 2025, but I didn't hear why.
They're contractually obliged. They can't do it till after 2025. That's like the newest rumor or whatever. And it has something to do with the deal that Fox cut with the actors. So that's why we can get all of the old X-Men in the new movies, but we can't get recasted till 2025. So I think we'll see all of them in the Secret Wars, and then they'll all get killed off.
Yeah, and I think that'll be it, which will be fine. You don't even have to say their name. Hugh Jackman's one. Hugh Jackman and Deadpool. You're not even gonna have to say their name the minute they show up on the screen. I think the roof will blow off. So, but yeah, San Diego Comic-Con was fun, man. It was a really fun to catch up on all those different events. It made me wish I was there. It had Clerks 3, which I did share with you. There is going to be an Austin showing, so we're going to have to show up for that. They had a panel there. AEW was there, and they shared a green room with the Last Drive-In. So Joe Bob and Darcy were basically, you had Darcy. If you follow her on Twitter, she was marking out and showing like CM Punk was there, and they were all sharing a green room.
Wow.
And The Rock was, and obviously you had The Rock was there. I don't think John Cena was there, but just to think that The Rock and CM Punk were back in the same building again was big. I feel like there's a lot of that crossover happening too. Because did you notice watching AEW during the greatest week of all weeks, Shark Week? The Grandmaster of Ceremonies is The Rock, so we got a bunch of commercials featuring The Rock during AEW.
No, I did notice that.
Yeah, so I feel like that's a subtle little nod.
We lost you. We lost you again.
Yep, sorry. The power shift is changing. So, but it was a good time to get a break, and maybe we can get Mike to dial in now because we got to talk about some retirements. You're retired.
All right, you want to do a break real quick?
Yeah, let's do a break.
All right.
On all new releases at Rogers Video.
Hi, Video Sam's got exciting news for you. You can now rent a video overnight and hire these great movies from only 99 cents. But the best news is that by purchasing our special package plan, you can have this VCR absolutely free. Ring now, 892-3311 for details of this amazing offer. You could have a video at home tonight. Remember, 892-3311. Video Sam's libraries are convenient to you.
Movie tonight on video. Movie tonight on video.
You can rent a video player, too. There's a store near you, sweetheart.
Movie tonight on video.
They're helpful and friendly with films for the whole family.
Movie tonight on video. Movie tonight on video.
Want a beer? Mm-hmm. This is really an interesting six-pack. See how it's completely covered? See the ends? Covered. Mm-hmm. That's so light won't get in. Light can spoil beer. Mm-hmm. And this is good beer. So they don't want light messing around with it.
Well, in that case, why don't we turn off the lights?
Where are you going? To get a Stroh's. That's about a 200-mile hike through heavy snow. I know. If you think of it, get two.
From one beer lover to another Stroh's.
I don't know what to do. What would you do if you were me? America's got this beer. It's called Stroh's Light, and it's fire brewed. It's not like any other beer. So I call the State Department and say, let's make a trade. Our cigars for your Stroh's Light. They say, Fidel, you're going to have to forget about it.
It's not the same as other lights. It's fire brewed Stroh's Light.
We're only 90 miles away. We can't even get a decent beer.
Boy, I'm bored.
Don't be bored. Join the party. Call 1-976-8888. There's a great time waiting for you right now. Meet new friends or just listen in. Everybody's doing it. So call 1-976-8888.
Where was that party?
So, what are you waiting for? Don't be left out on all the fun. Call right now, 1-976-8888. 88 cents per minute billed to your phone. Brought to you by Omegaphone.
Just like you, I was really skeptical about which one of the party lines is really the best. It's 1-976-BEST. It's easier than going to some singles bar. The phone's right there within your reach. And it's a real kick because you get started talking with everyone on the line right away. I got together with this guy I met on the best party line, and I'll tell you, it's fun, exciting, and the best way for you to meet someone new. The best party line. It's just a phone call away.
Do you sometimes sit alone, wishing for the perfect fantasy? Has love passed you by? Do you dream of encounters with a perfect mate? Or spending precious moments getting close to someone you could really love? For just 99 cents per minute, indulge your fantasy. It's live. Call 1-976-DATE now.
Yeah.
Oh, man, all right. No, it came back hot. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, come on. You ready?
Yeah. All right. Now it's working. Okay.
All right. Good. House shows, man. That's the, you know why house shows are so much better than TV tapings, because anything can happen in house shows, and then you have the Owen Hart effect, where he's like, who cares? I'm gonna wrestle backwards the entire time, or I was just like, I'm gonna keep untying people's shoes, and you get a completely different experience than you do when you're running a TV taping, that you have that strict script.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's hard for me to hear like the Owen Hart effect in regards to a live taping of anything and not think of that as something completely different.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely true.
A man that brought security measures to the WWE.
Right.
Mike
right,
the Industry is here.
Yo.
Introduce Mike the Industry.
Mike the Industry, what's up, man? So thanks for jumping in when we were, like I said, I was at the top of the mountain when the news broke, and I literally got to the bottom of Mount Hood, and then all of a sudden my phone was just exploding about Vince McMahon retiring. And we did like what everyone immediately does, is like, oh, that's a work. Like, why didn't he do this on TV? Why did he just do this via a tweet? He's doing something. But then all of a sudden they take the write-off on their books and their financials. They take that $14 million and write it that's Vince payoff money. And then you find out that, but right before the retirement announcement, Triple H came back. So this was all happening, falling into place, and then it clearly wasn't work, because then it was like Triple H is taking creative, and that's where we are today.
Perfectly executed. It was like the end of Clue or something. Pieces just came together.
Yeah. Stephanie's back. Tripp's back. Now they're running stuff with Nick Khan, which I didn't know Nick Khan was their agent. Did you guys know that? I didn't know, because I was trying to figure out where he came from. Why do you have basically an outsider in the wrestling business? And everybody just assumed, well, you brought this guy in because he's going to sell. And now all of a sudden he's running stuff. And they still may sell. But Mike, what was your first reaction when you heard Vince was retiring?
I mean, I go to the same thing. The first reaction was like, damn, feels like they're leaving a lot on the vine here. I even now, as I reflect on it, the first thing that comes to my mind as I start thinking about it is like imagining Vince at home being pissed at himself for not realizing that he should have booked this 5 years ago, so that when it really happens in real life and everyone is going crazy, there's still that seed of doubt because he's already done it before. That, I think, is the craziest thing about this. How, like, sure, back in the day, Vince's storylines definitely alluded to this kind of stuff. And you can pull those out. You can find them, look up any video of him with the Trish Stratus era, the stuff that Stephanie was doing at that same time with Triple H, I think, is more reflective of, like, the reality that Vince has just lived in since. All of the news, I feel like, is being so dramatic about this. It's like, sure, it's a surprise, but at the same time, once it started coming, once the dominoes started falling, you could see it going either way with a guy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was listening to Cornette's take on it because other than Mike, and Cornette would be the other one that I was like, I got to hear his take. And he did the math, right? And he's like, he could have hired a professional and had a professional every day for 16 years. And that would have been, which I think that would have gave him a different amount of trouble.
But we're talking about at this point, like, remember 16, 17 years. We're sure it goes on back beyond before that too. But let's just keep in mind that that's Vince from the age of 61 to the age of 77. So it's less of a physical thing to him at that point. It's more of a psychological thing about keeping his cojones and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then once you cross that 70 threshold and you're Vince McMahon, who's taken a ton of bumps in his career, I hear that his memory has been lapsing. It's part of the reason why the booking's been so bad is because he hasn't been able to actually remember, oh, last week I booked these same people in a match. And then people are like, oh, you booked them last week. He's like, I don't care. Put them on there. And there's just a ton of that kind of stuff coming out. I think one of the biggest indicators for all of this is that the stock jumped. The stock jumped like 5-9 points, something like that, after all of this news. And that's based on the faith in Triple H and the way that they've structured this with Nick Khan and Stephanie. Feels like a best case scenario for WWE as a company right now.
Yeah.
Can I just propose an alternate theory here?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I'm starting to think, did Vince McMahon book this? Like, you mentioned the stock jumped huge, right? Mm-hmm. The second they announced he was gone and Triple H was in charge, it just makes me think, for the last 3 years, has Vince just been running a shit show knowing that eventually he'd be gone, and the second he's gone, the stock would jump? And he owns 51% of the stock.
Man, he is still the majority. He's out as creative, out and CEO, but he is still majority stock owner. So he is benefiting from his quote-unquote mistake.
Well, see, maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's not a work. Maybe it's just something where, like, if you're Vince, every time that you do something terrible, you're looking at it through the lens of wrestling, right? So in that case, Vince never really had to play by the rules in the universe that he created, because if it gets too bad, he can book himself to leave. And I haven't really been looking at it that way, but when you say that, you know, the first thing that comes to mind is after the news broke, he came out and he did that weird, you know, peacock thing. But basically the promo that he gave was maybe the exact same length and half the exact same contents as the retirement message that he posts online, not like 3 weeks later.
Yeah. Dude.
Like that's the Vince farewell tour booking. They said that they've known that this was going to happen for about a week before the news broke, so they probably knew about it for about a month, right?
Yeah. I always imagine Vince going out similar to the scene in the Simpsons movie when Homer was sinking into the ground and he was just flipping everybody off the deeper he went into the ground. I figure that's how Vince was always going to go out. Vince wasn't going to always go out with a thank you for everything. He was going to go out giving everybody the finger.
I disagree.
No?
I feel like you go out on your back. That's what's good for business.
Oh, so this was him going out on his shield?
Yep.
Well, it's definitely good for stock.
That's what I'm saying. The stock jumped with him leaving. That's nuts.
Man.
Did he know his days were numbered? Maybe he knew.
So let's play this backwards, because I think you're onto something here, Margaret. So Vince retires, you go back a little bit, the news is like widely released that there's all these extra people. We know about like $12 million in funds at that point, right? A little bit earlier than that, we found out about like $3 million from one person that wasn't using any company money, seemed like, oh, he loopholed his way out of this one, right? And that's where the Vince storyline of like Vince is a sleazeball with every woman that's ever been a wrestler. That's where that narrative really started taking place. But you go back a little bit further and you have Triple H stepping away for a little bit. You go back a little bit further. I'm not sure which happened. Probably Triple H first. Stephanie was before that. But if Stephanie knew that she was going to become CEO, maybe that was just a planned vacation before all of this stuff was going to be coming out. And they really did like book the best storyline they've booked in how like I can't even remember the last one. Yeah.
Think about it. NXT lost the initial war against AEW. He lost. Triple H lost that. So they had to pull him away to rebuild him. You know what I mean? Because at that point his stock is down. He lost. He's a big fat loser, lost to the brand new company. Right. And now if there was ever going to be a time where they're going to put him as the head of WWE, I mean, he's coming from a loss. They have to rebuild him.
Wait a second. So we're going back even further in the timeline now, because most of AEW's booking with all of these WWE guys is just NXT booking. So Triple H has effectively been booking half of the AEW storylines, and the wrestlers that found their way to release that the company was like, all the fans were like, how are you letting Adam Cole go? How are you letting these guys go? How are you not re-signing these guys? How are you letting Keith Lee get out of here? Right? Like all these big, huge guys that Triple H booked to the moon in NXT. Then WWE says, no, we're going to let him go. AEW starts to invest a ton of money in premier stars that they're not going to be able to make their money back on anymore. So you have this strategy where you're siphoning the capital away from AEW as you're preparing the corporate storyline, because maybe to Vince, this is like he has not been involved in creative wrestling booking in a meaningful way in a long time, but he's been booking this company to be super mega successful. Maybe that's all his booking attention has actually been on. And this is that kind of like kayfabe moment where people are really being exposed to where he's been focusing his mastery, because he's a weird, insane genius, but he's one of the most like successfully manipulative human beings to ever exist.
Right.
Dude, you're on it. I think that's absolutely right. I think that there's got to be something to that. Vince had to know he was going to be out eventually, somehow, some way. What is he, 78?
77, yeah.
77. He had to know. A guy like that, I feel like he's going to book his own exit and do everything he can to make sure that when he leaves, it gets the biggest pop. And it popped stock huge.
What about the context of Cody Rhodes coming back? Because in the way that this would have been really booked from a high level, at the time that Vince goes out, Cody Rhodes would be becoming the top guy in the company.
Yeah.
The guy you just stole from AEW. Now you're bringing Triple H in as the head of creative.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good way to get back all of these other guys you just made AEW pay money to develop for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got AEW to pay for them to get over. And once they're over, you get them back.
Right. And meanwhile, you're booking John Wayne Gacy versus Braun Breaker in like Vince's wet dream, right?
I think you're right. Cody left, went to AEW, got over, and then came back. You know, that's a very similar business model to the Attitude Era. Go to ECW, get over, and then come back.
Right.
But the difference is Vince was financing ECW to an extent, but now he was, like you said, I think you're onto something, Mike. I think he was let's basically make him choke on all these guys while, and I know this is going to happen. So I think you're onto something there. What about the opposite of that? What about we get into HBO Secession? Oh
yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, what about Vince is the megalomaniac that won't get out of there, and he's at the point where maybe he crossed that event horizon. They're worried about they're not going to be able to sell this company if they go any further, and you have Stephanie and Triple H manipulating, dropping the dimes, being the puppet master to get Vince out of there in a way that made them look like baby faces, but it still got them what they want where Vince is out. Do you think that's possible?
And where's Shane McMahon in all this?
He's
part of the
banned.
Shane is banned, which is crazy.
That was a part of this news that was released, is that Shane is banned from being involved with the company in any way, shape, or form moving forward.
Which is unreal to think. This is going to be a phenomenal miniseries someday of everything that's happening.
I do. I want to see the show of this because I feel like there's something bigger happened here. I don't.
And leading into all of this, wasn't all of the speculation and where, like Jeff, I know that we've talked about Nick Khan as the puppet master behind all of this, and when Shane fell, and then Stephanie fell, and then Triple H fell from the company, there were those, memes going around of Nick Khan moving up the Mortal Kombat tower with all of the McMahons and Triple H, one by one, and Vince was next, right? And in that context, the real notion of all of this would be Nick Khan is the actual puppet master. He's the outsider from the family that came in and said, holy shit, this business could be worth billions, but it's being run by this insane asshole. So I've got to do a lot of stuff. I've got to get rid of his enabling son that is following in his footsteps of booking to put himself over before the company. That's step number one. Then I need to discredit Stephanie McMahon and discredit Triple H, and they then take off and they are not part of the company. And now when I actually take out Vince, I basically pull back what I just did to Triple H and Stephanie, thus giving Nick Khan all of the actual power. He's the gatekeeper in this scenario where he cast them out, he brought them back in, he cast out Vince, and now he's coming back to them and saying, hey, I know what this company can be if Triple H leads creative, and if you are my co-CEO that keeps the McMahons in this thing so that there's not that much disruption, and I can go to the shareholders and say, yeah, no, still McMahon running the company, no problem here.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you leave Triple H as the face, right? The Dana White controlling the creative, and he is the complete power broker in the side. I always got the Littlefinger vibe from him when he was there, right? He's the chaos as a ladder, and he was in there climbing it quicker than ever.
And what is the immediate? Think of this. What is the immediate? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's like, what is the immediate? Think about now, even deeper booking. The immediate reaction by everybody who left NXT and signed a contract with AEW is thinking the same thing. It's like, well, if Triple H was in charge, I would have stayed probably.
Yeah. Well, when Johnny Gargano comes out at SummerSlam to face Seth Rollins, I think that's exactly what all of them are going to be thinking.
Wow. That would be, and that's happening right now, right? Because as of this recording, Riddle is out. Riddle is hurt. Yeah. Kayfabe hurt or work?
No,
hurt?
It's a work. He's not really hurt.
He's not really hurt. So they need a pop. They can't have Roman versus Brock again and expect that to be the SummerSlam pop. Cody got them that pop at WrestleMania. Now, if Gargano comes out there, that is a sign to the fans that have all turned away that things are changing. They need to do one. I know they can't do everything all at once, and this is not going to happen overnight. But having Gargano come out, that would be such a big thing for the fans. And JJ brought up a good point. Meanwhile, you still got Jeff Jarrett, who is another one who's knows how to manipulate and climb ladders and run wrestling companies, right? That's the fun story, how this ties back together, that when Vince was potentially going to lose and go to jail, Jerry Jarrett, Jeff's dad, was going to be the one that was running WWE for Vince while if Vince served time.
I don't know. I feel like I feel like Triple H and Stephanie getting the handover is a big shift. Like it's a generational handover that may push some of the older guys out finally.
Oh, please. I mean, everyone's been talking about Kevin Dunn and his fast cut action being like top of that list, right?
Isn't that funny that the first person everybody wants gone is Kevin Dunn? Like, they're not even talking about wrestlers. They're like, who's got to go? Kevin Dunn.
Yeah, everybody. It's like unanimous. Man.
Like, how do you know that? This is the man that pulled his face off the corporate website because he does not like to be seen, right? And now all of a sudden, somehow he became, you have to go
public
next.
enemy number one.
Because I mean, you got Laurinaitis. I don't think Laurinaitis is going to survive this because obviously he's part of that mix too. Bruce Pritchard's always been a right-hand man of Vince. I don't know how much Pritchard booked versus Pat Patterson booked, but Bruce has always been in there, and he has a wrestling mind, and he comes from Houston, the Houston territory with Paul Bosch, so he has some... He's the kind of guy that no matter who's there, he's going to saddle up with them. He's going to saddle up with... Now, if he sees Vince is gone, and he's going with Stephanie, he will be the one that stabs Vince and goes stand near Stephanie and Triple H, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing to me, though, is that if Nick Khan being involved at all means that WWE is going to be starting to be run a lot more like a business.
Yeah.
And so even though we have Triple H head of creative, that's a role that would report to leadership, right? And so in that context, there is a theoretical world here where everyone is super hyped on WWE and Triple H really gets complete creative control for a period of time to maximize the potential for the organization, to bring in engagement, and that should lead into the next round of TV deals that are being made, right? And so you give him full control up to that point. Then when you hit those TV deals, you will make commitments about how many viewers you're going to be bringing in, what's your growth rate going to be, and some of those will be firm and some of those won't be firm. But at that point, whether it's WWE, same ownership structure, or it's been sold, I think we would really have to be concerned that it would become super cookie cutter. Like they would book things, and it would be better than it is today, I think, but it would be like the same story over and over again with different people because you've got to use the proven methods, right? Like I think short term, there's no doubt this is going to be a positive effect for the WWE, but long term, I think that's still way up in the air.
Yeah, I don't know where this is going to go. Because this is not something that's going to happen overnight. Everyone's like, SummerSlam is coming. That's going to be the season finale, but now it's going to be the series finale for Vince booking, and then Triple H is going to take over after that. So there's only
I think SummerSlam is the first Triple H completely controlled creative. That the last Raw that we saw was something that Vince wrote or approved the Thursday before he actually retired.
Before the retirement.
Yeah, so it was already in existence. I mean, I think they tweaked it a little bit because there was like Vince segments and stuff in it, and I wonder if he included those or not. But
yeah,
but that's the word on the street, is that was the actual like last show booked by Vince, and then SummerSlam will start to feel Triple H.
You being a poet would appreciate that, right? Because that was MSG. Where else would you want Vince to end but at MSG? That's the way to go out. He's been the voice, he's been the face for so long, but even before everyone knew he was the owner, he was the voice of wrestling, right? With the announcers and doing the old interviews.
It's still annoying that we won't get to hear him fire himself. I just imagine him like in the bathroom at home, like, "You're fired," over and over again.
Retired.
Kiss my ass.
Kiss my own ass.
Yeah, he's like putting his butt up against the mirror.
Kiss my own ass. Another thing that worked really well is, and I didn't see that yet, I don't know if you guys saw the ratings, but I think there had to have been a ratings pop for Raw. because I tuned in.
There was.
Yeah, I tuned in, and I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it in months.
I believe it was 1.9 million viewers more than the previous week.
Wow.
So big pop. It's a SummerSlam go home show, and Roman Reigns was on it, and so there's a number of contributing factors, but it was a big pop.
It's going to be interesting to see how SummerSlam bails out. Let me ask you guys this: there's a lot of people that are like, "Cool, now I want Sasha and Naomi to come back."
Yep.
I'm of the mind of I don't want Sasha to come back. I want Sasha Banks to take the CM Punk route, because I think she has such a connection with the fans that if she just goes and does her own thing for a couple of years, wherever she showed up next, it's going to be huge.
Yes, because without even much work now or whatever, there's an offshoot of WWE where folks can just leave and get somebody else to pay them to get over and then come back.
Yeah,
it's like that system is now created. It's like the groundwork has been laid now for WWE to create stars again by having competition and letting their folks go over there and work. And they're fine. They have their few stars and they're still making billions. It's just like, why not let everybody go? They're not making less money. So
totally.
Do it. Let them go and get over, and they'll come back and they'll be huge. It already worked once.
For the creative side, I mean, I'm all for seeing Mercedes Sasha against Thunder Rosa. I've already seen on Twitter that Paige is like, book it, when she's like with Britt Baker saying my dream match is Paige, and now like that could happen too.
Mm-hmm.
These are the matches we want to see, and I think that is what's going to keep the competition strong. And it's not going to, like Mike was saying earlier, it's not going to hurt Vince, because eventually they're going to want to come back.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Naomi and Sasha. I feel like Naomi is a higher potential person to come back in in the context of the bloodline or something like that, because she's married to the Uso. Like that feels like a path for her to organically come back, and I don't think she would be bigger in any other promotion than she could be in WWE based on this.
No, but I think you're right. I think she would get over, because now you tie the storyline in. It's just like, I'm not going to get screwed because I know who the real boss is.
Exactly.
This is his island. This is I'm protected now. And you make her a heel because you're like, oh, you're hiding. However you want to do it, but I think she would get over big. JJ thinks that Sasha wouldn't do. He said Tony Khan can't book a women's division, which is, he's not wrong. Their women's division definitely struggles. What he needs to do is kind of like what he does with CM Punk, of just like give him guidelines, give him some parameters, but book yourself.
Well, I think it's a little bit more that like Tony Khan doesn't know how to create new stars. Like the women's division in AEW is the only place where most of them are homegrown talent, and the people that he's put over the most are pretty much at this stage just relegated to like mid-level belts, mid-card belts. You got Jade Cargill, who probably the most dominant woman in the division. She's on a mid-card belt. He did the same thing with Wardlow, mid-card belt. Like, I don't know that he necessarily really knows how to do that, and he's in the position where he has to do that now, because he took it from all of the wrestlers that started the company.
And that was dangerous. I mean, that was always dangerous. You need to have one wrestling mind that understands getting over versus getting a pop.
Mm-hmm.
So you need that, because it could be argued that Jade Cargill in WWE would be a household name. Totally. With that kind of machine behind them. Very much the Hogan when he told, the Giant at the time, you need to go to WWE and get over. Now, he didn't get over as big as like Andre, but he could have, because you realize that once you have that machine behind you, and Tony has the cash, but I don't know if he has the know-how. You're right.
Well, I think it's like part of it is in not knowing when to let the creatives lead the development and when to guide it to something bigger, right? Like, I think WWE actually does that pretty well. I think Wardlow would be a household name. I think a lot of those guys that they've put a lot of investment into would be a lot better known. But again, most of the guys that we're most excited about were developed externally from, like, it's, if some of those people are coming over from WWE, those are the people that Tony Khan pays and treats like the top talent in the company. The people that he pays and acquires from the indies, no matter how over they are or how big or how great they are, Hook, Danhausen, great examples of people that are mega over that are not really getting pushed in a weird or memorable way. And then you have this whole like ROH thing where, you know, the former champion there, I can't remember what's his name, the guy that just lost to Claudio. Gresham. Yeah, Gresham's all pissed at Tony Khan. You got Brian Cage talking about how they've not known how to book him, and it's always like, wait, your time is going to come. And I feel like they've all had to wait because they're not getting paid in a way that they need to be on TV every week to Tony Khan, who doesn't have the wrestling background.
And they're drowning in more talent than they know what to do with. And adding belts or TV shows isn't necessarily gonna fix that, because now you're gonna be in the same boat that got, you know, WWE's in, right? Then you got 3-hour shows, and then you got wrestlers that, you know, could be having classics running around trying to get a 24/7 belt. So they put
and the injury thing is real too for the types of matches that they wrestle. There's a reason that WWE doesn't allow those super violent, high risk spots week after week after week and show after show after show. And that's because you end up in a situation where CM Punk, Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, like all of these people that actually are the guys that got people most excited about what's happening in AEW, they aren't there.
I'm gonna just add, I mean, yes, I agree with that 100%. And I think this comes up in conversations sometimes about wrestling, but I think they should go ahead and do an off season. Do summers off. Take summers off.
That's been coming up a lot. Yeah.
Just do summers off. It's all right. Nothing's on TV. Let them get a break. Let them reset. Let people forget about old storylines. You can come back clean, refresh, reboot. Everybody will be happy, except, you know, the people who sell ads on Summer Raw. But I just think it needs it. I think it needs it. It's time to add that.
I think there's a way. I think there's a way to make an off-season work where the advertisers are happy too. We've got massive rosters on all these organizations. Wrestling never has to stop, but there could be a Raw season and a SmackDown season. There could be an ROH season and an AEW season. There's ways to like federate your roster and say they're only here for this. And then WrestleMania becomes that much bigger because those guys are never even in the same place at the same time any other time of year.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. I always thought they have enough of a roster to do that. You wrestle for 6 months, you get 6 months off. Yeah. You guys are, like you said, you're the SmackDown for that 6 months, and then Raw takes a break. We totally could do that. Triple H, one of the announcements he's made was that he always hoped that Raw can go back to 2 hours, which I thought was interesting, and that's going to be a tough sell.
I'll tell you what, if they did that to Raw, I would be tuning in every week again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like the 3 hours makes it almost an insurmountable kind of undertaking. You know, it's like trying to watch RRR every Monday. You know what I'm saying?
I can't even think of the last time I didn't watch it fast forwarding.
If they turned it back into a tour show, I'd be way more interested to start following it again.
So how many hours of programming does WWE run a week right now? They run 3 for Raw. SmackDown, is that 2 or is that
SmackDown's 2 and
that's
NXT
2 and then 2 NXT and then like some superstars mixed in there.
205. Right.
So like 7 hours a week?
No, like 10 hours.
10 hours? Right, because of those other shows. So 7 days a week. What if, I mean, this is just kind of thinking about this, right? Like, so if Raw is your premier brand and that brings in the most advertising revenue from the actual advertisers, like they pay more for Raw because it has best reach. You only get 3 hours of Raw a week. What if you did like an hour a day? And again, like each day had specific casts that you're advertising for. I mean, I know they can't do it because of their travel schedule and all of that other kind of stuff, but just from a broadcasting perspective, like, how do you deal with having a commitment of like 10 hours a week, and most of that is spread out across your less advertisable brands? I don't know, just thinking about it.
You got to find the median. You can't just try and have 10 hours of wrestling. Have 3 solid hours a week, and figure out a way to raise the stock in that 3 hours so you're getting the same amount of advertising for these 3 hours. You make them events, I think,
I mean, I think WWE is primed for a non-wrestling program in their mix.
They have plenty, right? They've got all kinds of documentaries now. Every channel.
I don't even mean that. Like, I mean, I'm thinking more back to the days of like the TNT. Kind of like the talk shows where like Ric Flair is coming on and it's just promos the whole time.
Oh, that would be so dope. And they could they could do it high budget. They could make a set,
high budget,
make like a Bill Maher set, and like have it, really well done and a well produced intro, and just do it all kayfabe. That would be awesome.
It would be so shareable, and they'd get that advertising revenue without having the staleness, right? I think they were onto something with Talking Smack and Talking Raw, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. They did that worked really well, and they didn't realize it was working, and they didn't know what to do with it
because those were shoot shows. They got right.
Yeah,
they got to do it. You got to do a kayfabe show, a kayfabe talk show. Don't break character and just go with it. Don't have matches. You can have pre-tapes or whatever of them going to showing their houses or whatever they do. But like, just keep it all kayfabe. That would be dope. Do a solid hour of that. I would watch that every week.
Well, it reminds me.
Magical.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
No, I was saying it. TNT was magical. I was just all of a sudden thinking of all the stuff that I used to watch. Right, Captain Lou Albano's grooming tips. Or Andre the Giant. Yeah. Fish song, or Adrian Adonis taking Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch to get a hot dog in New York City. Right.
I mean, most of the most memorable segments from the Attitude Era could effectively have appeared in this kind of format and been just as impactful.
Yeah.
Right. And even before that, like I remember back in the early 90s when Undertaker went away for a while, and they used to play those vignettes about like Undertaker was sighted at this like convenience store, and then Mean Gene goes out there and he's like interviewing the convenience store guy, and he like holds up a picture of like a Undertaker from the back in the convenience store or something like that. And when like I remember that so clearly, and we're talking about like 40 years ago, that's the kind of stuff you could get into with that kind of episodic show going on right now.
I hope Nick Khan's watching, because I think you just booked him some more cash and fixed their hours problem.
Any of the cons, any wrestling involved con out there listening to this program, book it.
Well, I mean, I think they try to do that on AEW with their YouTube shows where they shoot their angles like sketches, but they're really low budget. Like it's just done kind of on the fly. I just think WWE could do it and really put some money into it and make it a classy show. And it's like the more you spend on it, the bigger you make it look, the more important you make it seem. It just, it sells the whole thing. It sells all the angles.
The YouTube shows too. I mean, let's not forget they're completely produced by wrestlers, and that wrestlers producing their own shit is generally kind of corny when they have full, complete creative control. And Matt Hardy is the perfect example.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. The vlog. Everybody's got a vlog now. You know, these wrestlers are, but it's keeping them in the. It's keeping them, I guess, relevant on the internet side. But I'd like to see it more high produced. Tuesday Night Titans. The show's log line is no physical contact. You're basically, you got to figure out how to get yourself over without doing a wrestling hold. That is what I want to see. Get yourself over without doing a spot.
You got to have someone else shoot your stuff, all the stuff you want to do, because you'll always defer to being like funny bad on purpose. You know what I mean? Yeah. You'll always defer to that because it's an easy route to say it was just like silly and we were just trying to be funny. But when you try to do something for serious, and it doesn't get the right reaction, that's tough. You know what I mean?
It's scary.
And so it's scary. It's a scary place to be. So people will always defer to that. You need someone else on the other side of the camera saying we're doing it this way, and it's just like, I don't get it, but I'll do it.
Yeah, no cringe. You have to have a no cringe factor.
Totally. And I mean, being the Elite, great wrestling, like probably one of the best wrestling YouTube shows that has existed, but it definitely doesn't have the no cringe factor, man.
Yeah.
Like that is not a thing that you could put up on, like, you're hanging out with everybody and there's like some wrestling fans and some non-wrestling fans. You can't put on a wrestler's YouTube show unless it's Danhausen potentially, and have everyone in the room be like, yeah, that's pretty entertaining content. Most of the time they're like, who the fuck are these corny ass wrestlers? Like,
I think you could easily do a very well produced show with Danhausen and like for YouTube. Just send him on a trip to like some sort of like remote spot, eat street food, and that's the show. And that's it.
There's actually a Thunder Rosa vlog where she goes and eats tacos with Danhausen. It's wonderful.
She does that. But imagine Danhausen going to like Thailand, and then that's.
I mean, I'd love to see Danhausen. If we're going to be talking about booking Danhausen, we're going to get into this for a moment. There are a number of things that I would love to see happen in the Danhausen world. First of all, easiest possible way to leverage Danhausen on TNT, have him introduce old horror movies late at night. A home run, man. 5-hour segments, right?
Easily.
Do folks watch those though anymore? Will those get any kind of views? Old horror movies? I mean, I know, like, because I was watching. I turned on to TNT the other day, and I saw the weirdest. I saw the weirdest movie. I turned it on, and it was like something about superheroes, and they had no powers. Extremely low budget, probably in the same vein of an old horror movie. But like TNT was copping some sort of like really weird indie superhero stuff, and they just had these really crappy costumes. I wish I could remember the title. I'd point it out, but I don't like an old. Like
but this is the pitch, Mario, is that, okay, you saw that thing. Imagine that if, there's commercial breaks going on here, as it goes into commercial, every time it goes into commercial, Danhausen comes up and he's like, ooh, very nice, very evil. That superhero's costume was stupid. And then it like goes to commercial, right? And now you have shareable moments from very low cost content that TNT can use as advertisements for how they get it. This shit is cheap. It's dumb, but we're going to be funny about it. A little bit of self-awareness is what Danhausen would bring to that particular thing. And then the cult classic factor of it, you take that Mystery Science 3000-ification of that content, the Elvira-ification, the fucking vampire guy and Gremlins 2-ification of it, and you get into this kind of like weird cult land that I think makes more of it because it's this interesting character.
Yeah. No, it was not Mystery Men. Mystery Men was like really well done. This was like literally dudes. Like if you put superhero costume into Amazon Prime, they were wearing the costumes that come up.
I like the angle. I like the Mystery Science Theater with a little bit of a Elvira twist on it and cheap content just to get the shareable out there. If they're going to be showing it anyway, you might as well put something that might draw people in.
I want to walk into a meeting at the TNT like creative board or whatever and just play the film UHF in its entirety. It's like, this is my plan.
Yeah.
This is my plan.
What's the pitch? Are you ready for the fire hose?
I'd also love to see Danhausen be the booker of ROH. Jeff and I have talked about this a little bit. So basically the notion there is that Danhausen has all these nicknames for everyone. He calls
nicknames.
Tony Khan, Tony Elite. He calls Jericho, Chris Judas. He calls CM Punk Pepsi Man. And you would basically have all of the promotional material in like Danhausen world language kind of stuff. So it'd be like Pepsi Man versus Chris Judas and all this kind of stuff. And ROH would become this like bizarro booking type of place where all the matches that can't happen on like proper professional wrestling take are booked by Danhausen, and he's always the champion, and he like books himself in opposite squash matches as opposed to like what he gets in AEW today.
Right. Sign me up.
This is my promotion.
There's been a lot of those. I haven't seen any on TV, but there's a company in town that does a lot of that where they really, it's basically all gimmick pro wrestling, right? So if if you're going to say that you're a wizard, you're going to put a spell on somebody and they're going to, become your voodoo doll. Or
I heard about that one.
Yeah. So I'd never seen one on TV, and I think there's always been concern that it makes fun of wrestling and maybe it wouldn't get over. But it could work.
But Danhausen can work. So eventually there'll be something where he has a match and it'll be legit. They're just going to build to that, right?
Yeah.
Because I think those are. But I know you're talking about the Austin comedy wrestling folks, and that stuff was ridiculous and not like entertainment at all. It was just like
and I just don't know if that would work as a TV show or if that just works really well as a house show that sells cheap beer.
Right.
And maybe that what works.
I mean, maybe the right answer is that nope, it wouldn't work.
Nope. It's the absolute right answer. I saw clips of it on YouTube. I was like, "What is this? This is like." It's one thing to try and convince people that you're having a fight, but trying to convince them that you're funny is like way harder.
It's a whole different. Yes, I think Mike sums it up. Nope. Cool. Well, let's speaking of cheap beer and nope, let's get a word from our cheap beer sponsors, and then let's talk about nope.
All right, hold on. You gotta give me the thing.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
Want a beer? Mm-hmm. This is really an interesting six-pack. See how it's completely covered? See the ends? Covered. Mm-hmm. That's so light won't get in. Light can spoil beer. And this is good beer, so they don't want light messing around with it.
Well, in that case, why don't we turn off the lights?
Where are you going? To get a Stroh's. That's about a 200-mile hike through heavy snow. I know. If you think of it, get two.
From one beer lover to another's Stroh's.
I don't know what to do. What would you do if you were me? America's got this beer. It's called Stroh's Light, and it's fire brewed. It's not like any other beer. So I called the State Department and say, let's make a trade. Our cigars for your Stroh's Light. They say, Fidel, you're going to have to forget about it.
It's not the same as other lights. It's fire-brewed Stroh's Light.
We're only 90 miles away. We can't even get a decent beer.
Just you. Okay, here we go.
Word. All right. Did we skip going to the movies this weekend? Nope. So let's talk about, for our final spot, let's talk about the third Jordan Peele joint.
Nope.
I was super psyched for this one. He just creates a vibe. And Mike, you were talking, I'm not going to blow your spot, but you were talking about a little. I don't know if it's because of his comedy background and he knows how to create a scene, but to make you laugh. But he just creates a vibe around his whole film. Like when you watch this trailer, you know you're going to go in there just like you're sitting through a Quentin Tarantino film. Even if Jordan Peele doesn't stick the landing on the ending, you know you're watching a Jordan Peele movie. And I like that vibe he creates. What did you guys think? Nope.
I had one specific thing that I wanted to call out. And maybe you know about
this. Do we want to put the spoiler explosion up? Don't
still
read
going.
any spoilers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I think I'm gonna shorten that spoiler thing. It might be too much.
Oh, that's funny. Well, that gives them plenty of time to click away if they don't want to be spoiled.
Can I just think there was one thing in Nope. Nope. I loved it. I thought it was great. I really love seeing like original IPs, original ideas being made into big budget films. And I wasn't gonna see it again, but now I feel like I gotta go see it in IMAX since it was shot on IMAX cameras. I'd really like to watch it again. But anyway, one thing that really I just fucking marked out on was the movie swag. Did you notice how everyone was wearing movie swag? Yes, and I think it's like
Scorpion King was called out. Yes.
Yeah, I was explaining this to Lottie, Lucha Lottie, as we were leaving. Is like, did you see how he was wearing movie swag all the time and it was always worn down? It's like old movie swag. That's like a thing. Yeah. If you crew on like movies and stuff, and you crew on shows, it's like always an unwritten kind of under the thing competition to see who has the oldest, coolest swag to wear on set. And at the beginning of Nope, when they're doing the horse on set at the beginning, the AD comes out and he's got the hat that says Northern Exposure, and he's like got the oldest fucking best swag. That's a thing, man, and that's a thing. And the way when what was it? OJ wore the Scorpion King swag because it's important. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing because they do that. Hoodie. It's like a one-time pressing. Here's like your movie swag, and it's just a thing. Whoever has the oldest, coolest swag on set is definitely the fucking biggest swinging dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what's great about it. He creates a vibe. I don't even know the backstory, and I told Mike I started digging in a little bit. The whole thing with Gordy, the 90s sitcom monkey, that you figured it was going to tie more obviously into the story, but I think it was a little bit more subtle how that tied in. But I think that is ripe for a spin-off of some kind because I couldn't keep my eyes off that.
And that's one of the more divisive moments in the entire film too. Some people look at that as like, hey, I came here from our UFO stuff, right? And where's this monkey coming from?
Yeah.
But I think that it does, like in terms of the narrative structure and how it fits into the movie, the thing that I love the most about that is that everyone comes into it like super aware and super conscious of this like extraterrestrial threat. And then the thing that is actually like giving some of these deformations that you're seeing in the trailers and like the kind of teased and implied violence of the bloody hand knuckle bumping with the baby.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You're looking at that in the context of Aliens.
Right.
But no, it's just a monkey, guys.
Yeah.
The only alien is flying around up in the sky, sucking things out of the ground.
It was a little bit of a swerve, right? Because when you saw that hand and you knew it wasn't a human hand and you knew the movie was about some kind of extraterrestrial, so there was an assumption that hand dripping in the trailer was going to be some kind of alien, and the swerve was it was an angry chimp.
People thought it was the aliens coming down to turn people into horses. And that monkey hand was like, if you look here, you can obviously see a horse hoof coming out. So I think this is the mother fist bumping with the baby for the very first time as she turns into a horse. And that the grandfather had been turned into a horse. And in that initial scene where you see Keke Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya standing with the horse in the beginning of the trailer in that old video.
Oh yeah.
That that's actually the horse that was transformed from the grandpa by the aliens.
Were you guys at all I didn't see the spoiler. Were you bothered that the twist, the reveal was it wasn't a ship, that it was actually a creature, that it became tremors in clouds?
I was good with that. I thought it was fine. It was a nice way to throw us off the scent of what was actually happening. Yeah. Everybody expects the almond eyes aliens, but they did something different. It's cool, man. It felt very Close Encounters. Like I said, I want to text you. He's channeling every '80s director.
Yeah.
Well, it's people were talking about this in the context of this is Jordan Peele's Jaws movie, and Jordan Peele's always responding to that this isn't my Jaws, this isn't my Close Encounters. Yes, I was highly influenced by all of that stuff, but this is my Nope. And that kind of leads me to one of my main takeaways from the media circus of all of this is that I don't know if you guys have watched any of the interviews that Jordan Peele has been giving about this movie, but it really feels like, because he's had these two successful movies, that Jordan Peele is coming into this where it's he's purposefully playing the director stereotype in these interviews. And the answer that I just quoted him saying, it's this isn't my Jaws, this isn't my Close Encounters, this is my Nope. Couldn't you just imagine Jordan Peele saying that exact same line in a Peele?
Yes.
Yeah,
he's a sketch comedy writer. That's the whole thing. Yeah. Everything is a work. Even
right.
But the thing is, one thing that I wanted to point out about this movie, it's everything in the movie is intentional, right? Every choice. Mm-hmm. The guy, and like I said, the thing about the movie swag, this movie is obviously a lot about the entertainment industry and how it works and how people get chewed up, spit out, whatever. The guy, the cinematographer, what was his name? Antlers.
The
guy who plays Antlers. Okay, this is an actor. He dies. Spoiler, right? Does he die? He dies. Kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know who this guy is? He's the guy. He's what does he say? No one deserves the perfect shot. Is that what he said?
Yeah. No one deserves the impossible shot.
Michael Wincott is the actor who fired the gun that killed Brandon Lee.
Wait, really?
Yes, he's the guy that fired the gun that killed Brandon Lee. After he killed Brandon Lee, he took a break from acting. I don't know how long he's been out, but he's back. But that's the guy. Isn't that he's cast in that role and says that line?
Oh man, I had no idea. I didn't know that was him.
Yeah.
He was great. I mean, his performance was good. There was a couple pops in the theater, but the biggest pop was when he whipped out that mechanical IMAX camera and she did that. She did the high five with him, and the crowd popped big for that scene when he just basically, that was the moment of just the reveal of just I got you covered, and here it is, and they're like, oh yes, that was good. So we're gonna get the shot, and he sacrificed himself for the impossible shot. Did you notice that there was a little bit of a tease in there that a film reel did come flying out when the Fry's video guy wrapped himself in the tarp and the barbed wire so he didn't get sucked into what was he called, Jean Jacket? They called him Jean Jacket. When he didn't get sucked into Jean Jacket, there was a film reel that went back, and that's another thing that I feel like he can go back to. You can go back to Gordy, and now you can go back to capturing that footage that he shot, that he gave his life for.
Yeah. No, I dug that whole thing with the cinematographer. I think that was a specifically that he's in there for a specific reason to say a specific thing. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but Jordan Peele swings for the fences. He's trying to be Stanley Kubrick,
Well, he's the only person creating original content really right now.
Yes.
Right? It's him and Pixar, right? I think the top 10 original IPs that 3 of them, like the number 1, number 2 are Pixar, number 3 is Us, number 4 is Pixar, then there's like some other animation, then Get Out, and then maybe one, and then Nope in terms of original IPs. And Nope, in its first 17 days, I think made $44 million. First 17 days of Us, for comparison, made $71 million, which is the highest grossing live action original IP in the last, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years, something like that.
Wow. He's becoming, again, because he creates a vibe. He's creating a brand. He's the brand. He's the reason you go to see movies. You can have the Quentin Tarantino, you can tie the universe together, but you're going to go see him to do no matter what he does, because you know you're going to create that. And I think he's doing a great job. I love your angle that he's just basically Peele playing a director, and he's playing a director so well that he's directing real life blockbusters.
Exactly.
Yes, and then when he gets ready to retire, he's gonna just make a super cut of all his stuff, and then he's gonna turn it into a comedy. Like, look, I was a director the whole time. You guys thought I was a director.
The last movie he ever releases is his Sacha Baron Cohen version, where he just shows that the whole fucking thing was a prank for the last 20 years.
I wouldn't be so, like, I feel like he's talented enough to create that. I did notice, speaking about the original IPs, it was one of the few movies, and I had to go to, I just went to a regular theater for this, that I think they lean into that, like, okay, this audience is probably a little bit hungry for original non-IP. So the trailers we saw was, Idris Elba for Beast, the Lion movie, which, I mean, I know it's just basically Jaws in Africa, but it's still original, not based on anything. And then Bodies, that's coming out with Pete Davidson. So I think right now, when we were talking about San Diego Comic-Con earlier, there's always going to be that audience for the IPs and stuff, and they're always going to show up, but there's still so much money to be made, and Jordan Peele is capitalizing on that. I'm just going to make something completely out of nowhere, and even if it's something that you can't guess the twist, and it doesn't fully, like, because I thought the Us twist was okay. I wanted it to drive it a little bit home more, but it didn't. But it was still, I never walk out of his movies and be like, oh, I didn't like that. It was just like, that was great. Oh, you could have did this. And then I realized, oh, he's manipulating me because he's playing a director and he wants me to keep booking it out and just to do that to create his shared universe. But
I feel like Jordan Peele is still kind of developing his style. It's like he hit a home run with Get Out, and then Us, I feel, was like 70% good. I think Nope is great, but still I can see it's not the full. It's a triple. It's a triple.
Yeah.
And I think
like he's playing. Yeah, go ahead.
I think his next film or two, he's gonna hit that note where it's like it all comes together, what he's trying to say. Because all his movies are full of big ideas. They don't always all connect.
Huge.
But he's definitely swinging for the fences.
Huge ideas.
He's playing with different mixes, right? Because Get Out is great. There's a lot of tension, huge home run, a lot of, social layers to it, a lot of ways to read it, a lot of rewatchability in Get Out as you can recontextualize the characters with the way the narrative unfolds.
And he has his De Niro. He's got Daniel Kaluuya as his De Niro.
Oh yeah, he does. Us. Well, I think Lupita's going to come back in a big way in future movies too, right? Like I feel like when he probably gets this mix where he feels most powerfully about it, we're going to see the Get Out and Us leads interacting in a narrative way. And Kiki, I think he's building his team right now as he experiments. And Get Out, I feel like was leaning heavier into the horror, and then Nope is leaning heavier away from it, closer to that thriller, while still playing in the realm. And I feel like that's the big thing that he's really experimenting with right now. What's that right mix?
And also very much finding his visual style, His like, man, I mean, he does a lot of clever things. Like, I love the T-shirt gimmick with characters wearing T-shirts that are sort of like contradict or coincide with what's going on in the scene. You know, yeah, he's getting it right. He's just, I don't know. I feel like the next film he does is going to be his Goodfellas, maybe.
Oh man, because think about how smart it was, how he used the Bailey buddies, right? The wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men, to make that part of the story. I mean, he pretty much did what Spielberg did with Reese's Pieces. Like now, when you're thinking, I used to just think of Bailey, but now I'm always going to think of Nope anytime I see them. And I think he's creating a shared universe in the sense of Stephen King, where when you're going to walk in there, it's going to be part of that same vibe. Like you can't go to Maine without thinking of Stephen King. I think what he does with his music and what, like he said, some of the tension choices, like when he was playing Sunglasses at Night, kind of like slow motion, and what the van was going, that's why people are comparing it to Jaws, is creating that tension that this thing was coming closer and closer. I thought that was great choices, and yeah, his music choices are always great too.
And also real intentional spectacle, just like they talk about spectacle the whole movie, and you've got a movie here where a UFO shits blood on a farm. It's like fucking like, it's so that's intense, you know, shifting from like what you think is sort of like a Close Encounters type sci-fi sort of like curiosity piece. It's just like, no, the UFO shits blood on you after it gets.
I was trying to look up Mario, and I was going to ask you if you knew anything about that cinematographer, because that was probably, I mean, he had a lot of beautiful shots in there, right?
That's the dude who shoots Christopher Nolan's movies.
Oh, okay. That's entirely, now I get it, because that scene of the, shitting blood on the house and the way it pulled back and you saw the entire house, that was great. And then even the small things like the icy machines with the cactus ice, and the flavors were specifically put in the same spot. It just, again, every little thing that he puts in there is creating a moment, because like, oh wow, you had, he's wearing the cheap suit, and that's what you would expect, is a cactus icy at like this dirty, sideshow carnival.
Do you guys think that he's ever gonna book Keegan-Michael Key as the lead in one of these films?
As the heel, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's
not a lead, but as the heel, I could see that.
Okay. Antagonist, not protagonist.
Yeah, because I feel like with Key, he's always finds a way to be Key. Like it's harder to look past his, because he has his personality is way louder and way turned up. So it would be interesting. I would love to see the challenge of like, okay, book your old partner that like the back of your hand, but book him in a Jordan Peele movie. The Jordan Peele that we know that's playing the director, not the Jordan Peele from Key and Peele. The noise.
God, imagine Key as a villain in a horror movie, dude. I think he could pull that shit off.
Oh yeah. We just know, man. Why are comedians just dominating horror and thrillers right now?
I think you've got to be on some Terrys.
You've got to be funny to be able to do horror. I mean, those things exist side by side. They're all about getting a reaction. If you're funny, you can do horror. If you can do horror, you're probably funny. I just think they coalesce. It's all about activating the audience, making them react to what you're doing.
I'd love to go to a stand-up horror show where some guy just like gets up on stage and makes me shit my pants.
I went to like some sort of like show in Vegas one time where it's just like magicians trying their tricks, but they're like gross out tricks, like stick needles through their arms. And
do that
kind of stuff.
That shit.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember that part of like the Warp Tour that you had like a lot of the sideshows, just like, watch me pull up this anvil with my ball sack. You're like, oh, why?
I mean,
I'm just
like
here to see Limp Bizkit. What?
Limp Bizkit. I mean, fuck. Maybe Chop Suey. I know there was a Warp Tour. I used to work at this place called Nissan Pavilion. And I was a food runner for the VIP boxes. So I would like bring them food that they ordered, take away their empties. And I definitely remember System of a Down, And I remember that Pink played at Warped Tour that year, and it was a big scandal because her bass player took off her shirt. It was a girl. So she's playing like the bass shirtless, and all the like kids in the mosh pit were going crazy. Man, Warped Tour, Manassas, Virginia, whatever the fuck year that was.
This would be a perfect time to cut to a flashback of that. To have the food runner. I have not heard on Jordan Peele. I feel like he does really well at keeping his projects pretty quiet. Like, I don't even know what's next for Jordan Peele, because I was a huge mark. I think there's been a lot of reboots of the Twilight Zone, and I think he came the closest to killing it.
Uh-oh.
And I think he did really, really well with it. He realized that, Twilight Zone was about creating a vibe. So what's next for him? Like, does he do another big film, or does he go back and do a streamer?
Give me a sequel, man.
You want a sequel? A Nope sequel?
I don't care. Any one of those first 3 movies that he made. Give me a sequel to it. Just because I can't stop but imagining that scene where he plays that guy that comes in when they're planning Gremlins 2, and it's like the room full of creatives, and he comes in and he's like, "What do you want to put in the movie, baby?" And they're like, "A vegetable gremlin in the movie, a hot gremlin in the movie,
Hulk Hogan in the movie for no reason."
Give me that. Give me a comedy sequel to anything that he's made so far that is still hitting the vibes, so that he can break the rules before he goes and tries. Because I think he's getting a little too serious, honestly.
You think Jordan Peele's getting a little too serious?
A little try hard to me right now.
It could be, because again, if he leaned into those sequels and Get Out became Get In, Us became Them, and Nopes became Yes, then people would be like, Nope is Yep. That's when he reveals the gimmick. He's just like, now I want an anthology series of each one of those, and it's a short of those 3 sequels in there, and then we're in. I think he's ripe for an anthology. I'd like to see him pull off an anthology.
Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you envision?
Well, he doesn't. He does Twilight Zone. That's an anthology.
Right. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a big screen Jordan Peele meets Creepshow. Not a straight remake of Creepshow, but for what he did with Twilight Zone, I'd love to see him. I'm a mark for Creepshow.
Tales from the Hood. Tales from the Hood.
That's exactly what
I'm a huge mark for Tales from the Hood.
There it is.
That is so great. I've never seen the additional ones, but the first one is awesome. And if you showed it to people today, like as a lark, let's watch Tales from the Hood, they'd be super offended and crazy and be like, they would go and post on Facebook about you. It's very political. The social it's got cop stuff in there. It's got pop. It's awesome. But anyway,
it's the only thing that's the only thing he can do that would be a requel that's of an IP, but it still allows him to take 3 original stories, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the way to go. I think he nailed it. Even better than Creepshow, Tales from the Hood, it would be the slam dunk.
Well, yeah, Tales from the Hood would become a franchise. Like, Jordan Peele make the first one, and then you just have, like, Larry Bob from The Coroner come on and make the next one. It'll still make $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? The Quentin Tarantino one, like the 4 rooms. Like
4 rooms, yeah.
Yeah, 4 rooms. Let's just start booking these different directors, and he let him cherry pick the directors, right? I think that's a good opportunity for him to give some people there a spotlight, right? Give them the rub from him.
Right, like that's what's missing right now. Jordan Peele, like what really should be the next step for Jordan Peele right now is that Blumhouse should spin out an imprint and give Jordan Peele full creative control so that he can hire whoever he wants to hire to make whatever they want to make, because I think he's limited by the fact that he's only managing one thing. He needs to level up at this stage and like impact the world at a greater scale.
Universal's giving them a lot of money, so I mean, like Blumhouse is like they do $5 million budgets. Nope was like $68 million or something like that, which is still low budget for a summer movie, but
that's what I mean. Like Jordan Peele shouldn't be the one making movies for his imprint. because he's been doing producer stuff while he's been making all of these movies. He continues his director relationship with Universal, but really solidify the production rub that he tried to give to Candyman by being a producer on Candyman when Nia DaCosta came out with that. But it kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. I feel like it needs to be solidified and like really mean something. And to mean something, slap a logo. I just think that's that next scale that we need, because Candyman was dope too.
I thought it was dope. I thought I had some issues with it, but I overall thought it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Jeff.
Yeah.
You there?
Yeah. Yep. I'm here.
You want to take us? You want to take us home? I feel like
I think I just squeezed the office there to take us home. So yeah, thank you guys for thank you Mike for sneaking in here for this. But we'll be back in studio next week for more kayfabe content, our high spots and culture pops, movie marks, and lucha nerds. So thank you, industry. Thank you, Mario. Yeah, and then we'll see you next week. So peace out.
Oh yeah, brothers.